Howdy doody. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Lorne Risley, host of the Halcyon Show. How you doing? One thing I want to get off my chest straight away on this particular live stream. So this is Body Fuel Ultimate Aminos. Yeah, millions flavored. I would urge you, if this is what kids are consuming as part of their gym regimen, there's got to be something done about this. So, quick story. And it does relate to the whole moving on crap. I decided to add some supplements to my workout regimen just to kind of help boost it and sort of help with my regimen in terms of maintaining consistency and size and all the rest of this sort of crap. So I thought I'd get some amino acids because they help either retain or process protein more efficiently. I saw this. I thought, well, I've just brought some strawberry protein mix, so raspberry will go rather nicely. Shouldn't notice it, even if it's a bit sweet. You know, who cares? Thinking it was just amino acids. This stuff also has pre-workout in it. Now, for reference, I've never used pre-workout before. And pre-workout, for those of you who don't know, is just effectively caffeine. It's just all of the pizzazz in powder form. Some bodybuilders just fucking raw dog it and just eat it out of the scoop. Yesterday, I put 3, and granted 1 is per workout. I put 3 in one of my things because I thought, well, I'll top it up and make it last the day. So I'll make a batch and then make that into 2. 3. Holy crap. Like, this stuff gives you some pep, but I would warn you because you are going to feel your fucking heart doing a river dance between your lungs, son. If this is what people are having to at least get motivated for your workouts, Jesus Christ, I think you need to rethink what you're doing to get the workout going in the first place. So, old man yelling at fucking... Seriously, get a look at it as well, by the way. Like, they're not a sponsor before anyone asks. I bought this because, yeah, I just bought it. I don't know why millions make gym supplements, but apparently they do. So, there you go. Avoid. Don't buy. Guys, if I'm going to give anyone any advice when it comes to the prospect of working out, like gym culture, you don't... The idea of a pre-workout, like... I sort of get it. Sorry, let me fuck around with this for a sec. I sort of get it because, you know, some people, you know, after a long day... David, thank you for joining us. I get it after a long day, no energy. You need a little something to get you going. I totally get it. A cup of coffee will do that just as well, and I promise you, you won't, like, I can feel the striations of my heart. I can just, even smelling it, like, like if you open it, right, I don't know if you can see, but it's just powder, that's all it is, right? You can smell it tingles, like, what the fuck is in this crap? Now, the big question now is whether or not I fucking continue now that I've paid 15 quid for the privilege of having effectively a heart attack or several heart attacks in a tub. But even a scoop of that shit's liable to kill me, so I'm going to have to fucking figure out how I can make the dope. I've got a creatine, so I'm also using creatine at the moment because I'm given to understand that helps with muscle retention. So I might just take the scoop from that since it's about half of that scoop. Jesus Christ, though, if this is you're gonna have to let me know. Like, if you train and you use supplements and one of the things you use is pre-workout, I gotta know when was your first heart attack and just how long did it take to revive you before you understood what had happened. Because Jesus Christ, I can't believe how potent that shit is, and it's just in people's gym regimen. Crazy stuff. Anyways, now that I got my product rant out of the way, welcome, thank you very much for joining me. What are we talking about today? The scary stuff. My last couple of live streams have followed a kind of a common thread, which is like, how do you progress after bad stuff, right? One of the things that happens at one point or another is you get settled into a routine, nice, safe, cozy, convenient. Very little protrudes into your life that you don't want to, okay? It's been 3 months for me. 3.5 months, nearly 4. Where things have been actually fairly condensed, fairly contained, contaminated, if you there's no contamination, if you will. The trouble is that can't last forever. You can't stay contained in a hermetically sealed bubble of safety forever. Sooner or later, you're going to have to take the next step. Now, the next step could be in any different avenues. It could be, as I've mentioned in the thumbnail of this video, it could be in your training, in terms of your body weight, your musculature, your aptitude, skill set, whatever. It could be in your career. Many of us have jobs that we have for a long time. You know, we become used to our surroundings. We become used to the people around us. But invariably, there's a bit of a glass ceiling that you inevitably hit. And at that point, you're left with the choice as to whether or not to rely on the covenant that you have with your employers and the loyalty that you've shown them to be rewarded in years to come, as opposed to being cut like a bad habit when those fiscal reports are looking a little light, or to move on and then potentially have to learn a new environment, you know, get used to new people and so on and so forth. Or the more pertinent one, and this is the one I'm struggling with the most: relationships. You know, if you're single, I mean, you got to make the choice. Do you forever, or do you want to open up the prospect that maybe you do want to move on? That's the one that's been troubling me the most, and I'll talk about that one in a minute. But the thing I wanted to talk about first of all is like the consideration of the next step, and the hurdles one faces when you've gotten comfortable, but you realize that you're starting to stagnate. In my case, it is things like training and career and the money that you earn, and obviously relationships, because, you know, I'm not someone that gets out of my habits easily. I like my habits. I like my discipline. I like sticking to what I know and what I do well. But even I, as thick as I am, know that sooner or later you've got to move on. Some of the signs are kind of self-evident. With training, for instance, it's that you stop making progress. Like for the first couple of months with me, you know, size, improvement of cardiovascular fitness, these are things that are easy to measure. But sooner or later you get to a point where you don't see the same progress or growth. And you can make two choices. Or you can say, no, I'm happy here, I'll stay here, which I'm not. I'm still a stone overweight. And it's proving more and more difficult to see. Even sniffing this stuff, I feel like I'm talking a million miles a minute. I'm sorry if you're struggling to follow this. Jesus Christ, this stuff. It's 100 milligrams. 100 milligrams of caffeine. I thought we were crazy for drinking energy drinks back in the day. Which we were. Training. Your body will tell you. Inevitably, your body will give you enough of a pointer to say, nah, this ain't working anymore. Because your body adapts. You naturally do. Your mind does too. Again, in your career, you know, you have to balance career growth with stability. I feel like a lot of people don't do one or the other. If they get comfortable, they can start to take for granted that fact. I really don't think that's a wise thing in the environment that we live in these days. I think that too many avenues are opening up in other ways for companies to make people redundant, and to undervalue people for you to ever feel inherently comfortable at a job. At the same time, a lot of people are guilty of not recognizing a good thing when they've got it in terms of their career prospects and options, and they opt for more money thinking that that's the career path rather than the opportunity leading to it. And then there's relationships, and we'll get to that now, because with the first two, that's easy for me. I'll clue you in. With this stuff, apparently, I'm going to now learn how to run like the Flash, and we're going to give up sleep for a couple of years. So that's how I'm going to change my training regimen to improve my my outlay there. In terms of my career, I work in IT. So you learn a new technology, you become proficient at a new level of standard of service, i.e. first, second, third, managerial, divisional, whatever. So there's a million different avenues I can explore with that. And it's nice to know that with both of those things, I can change it up. You know, you can change your exercise, you can adopt a new exercise regimen. And it's easy to recognize that. And it's actually a lot easier for you to recognize. Charlie, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it as always, sir. As far as when relationships go, though, this is a trick for me. I'll take you back 4 years. 4 years is a good period. I was fresh off of losing a bunch of weight, and I was fresh into a new gig, and I was feeling pretty goddamn good about life, I have to tell you. But the one thing I wasn't feeling so solid about was my relationship prospects. In fact, it had gone to the point, nerd. Yeah, I agree. The glasses don't help either, in the fact that I've attempted to give myself a top fade here, but I don't think it's worked out all that well, especially like this bit here. I think it's not the cleanest trim, but I did my best. Yeah, so 4 years ago, felt pretty good, but except for that. And the reason for that is because relationships have dented my fucking pride and self-esteem and confidence to a degree that I can't really articulate unless you've not only had some bad breakups, but then you've also had periods of time where you were like genuinely undesirable. Like I was overweight, I was a geek, nerd, as Charlie's pointed out there. I know you're not meaning it in a bad way, but I was genuinely nerdy. Low income, like very, very little in terms of prospects, in terms of, appeal. But then I turned it around. I was in great shape. I had a good job. I was, living what I considered to be a fairly steady, but it enticed me as far as a lifestyle at the time. But it was like, Culver, thank you for joining me, sir. You know half of this story anyway, so you can Culver, you can tune out. David and Charlie, you can sit. Culver House. Go, I don't know. You've got training to get on with. I haven't seen Culver. Everybody, Ryan has started his own training journey recently. I have not seen anywhere near enough posts from you, sir. So you get back on that motherfucking thing. I want to see some shoulder presses, bench presses, goddamn squats, shoulder lifts, lateral raises, bicep curls, sit-ups, burpees. I want to see the lot, motherfucker. And you can do that, all that with more with this heart attack in a can. Genuinely, I'm not a sponsor. I'm just really, really staggered. And yeah, David, yeah, David has done enough good exercise. For everybody who doesn't know David is an incredible gentleman who has done a number of very. No, you're not. You're not. Sorry, David. No, you're not. But I love you anyway. Because you'll get it if you know David. You'll get the joke. But he's done some incredible work, and he's meant. See, this is the problem with doing the live streams. I inevitably get distracted by the chat. I do. I love you guys. You distract me, though. So stop it, but don't. Where were we? Let's get back to it. Training and all the rest of it. So the point is, I was in a good place in life, right? And what happens when you're in a good place in life? You're naturally... Was it? Okay. All right. Fine. But still, I want to see some of that good shit, Culver. I want to see some of that good shit. It gives me inspiration. When you're in a good place in life and you're naturally exuding it, people want to be a part of it. And I discovered this because I actually was on dating websites for a long time. Plenty of Fish, fucking Hinge, the Facebook one that's come about, fucking, what's the other ones? Bumble, I think. What's the fucking Tinder? There it is. And what I found was that they were doing my confidence the world of fucking trouble, man. Like, every single person seems more interesting, more vibrant, more attractive, and all of them are unilaterally rejecting you because you don't have any of the fucking responses, you don't get any messages, you don't get any pairings. At least that was the case for me. Now, here's the thing with me. My profiles tended to lean more to the being honest, in that I am not a witty one-liner kind of guy. I'm also not the kind of guy that's going to sidle up to a girl in the pub and say, "Hello, darling, how's digs?" It's just not, it's not something I found natural. So I approached it like you would when you're just starting to generally start a conversation with someone. Now, as time progressed, I entered into a relationship. That relationship has since ended, not on great terms. And that as well has dented my confidence to a large degree because it's meant that I've found my trust in people lacking as a result. Now, that's a bad thing because you shouldn't necessarily conflate everybody in the same vein when it comes to your ability to be able to extend empathy and trust. But it does, unfortunately. Mentally you always want to protect yourself from harm, and this is what the title of the video is kind of stemming around, is this idea that you want to protect yourself. You want to avoid falling flat on your face again and again and again and suffering the indignity of a failure, especially when it's something as public as a relationship that tends to be aired out to people. People are aware of it, and then you have to deal with when it doesn't work out. And you've got to deal with the person not being in your life or not having the same things extended to you. And that can be hard. At least for me it is. I wasn't in a rush after I broke up this time round to get dating again. And if I'm being brutally honest, I'm still not crazy about the idea. But unfortunately, as people want to do, and I don't blame anyone in this chat, I presume, who's seen me. But it's just a natural thing people and very else. So, you've been single for a while. Are you starting to see anyone? Is there anyone you're talking to? It's like, no. But then I realized part of that is what I was talking about earlier, is the vibe you're putting out, the energy that you're directing people, and it's that I don't want any of that shit. not because I'm not open to it working or a successful one. It's that I don't feel ready to take that step yet because I knew I'd be taking it half-heartedly or half-cocked. And that's kind of the nub of what I wanted to drill down into this, is because what you'll find in life is that a lot of times when people see you suffer a failure of some description, it's always, when are you going to give it another try? When are you going to get back on the horse? When are you going to face it down and head it on? And it's like, dude, sometimes that's not the wisest of choices. Sometimes you do got to recover a little bit and collect your wits before you go ahead and jump back into the bullpit. Because you got to learn and you got to grow sometimes. In my case, part of what I have learned over the last couple of years about myself is that I can be a little bit too intense, not in the strictest sense. Like, whenever I think of intensity, the word that springs to mind, for whatever reason, the image of Goldberg springs to my mind, because that for me is intense. Like the idea of just turning up and spearing someone and your neck's popping with veins and your eyes are gouged out of your fucking head. That's intensity for me. What is meant by it, though, is that I tend to invest very heavily in the things I care about, and there's only a few things, so that energy is very, very high. But when I don't care, I have next to no energy invested in something, and that can make me appear very disinterested and cold. And what I have got to get better at, and this is what I'm trying to work on before I take my next step, is that balance that I keep banging on about. This idea that it's okay to care. It's not okay to live and die on things. It's okay to be disinterested, but not to be so disinterested that you gotta fucking, that people gotta have a go at you to say, dude, seriously, man, what's wrong with you? Like, I just told you this really super duper important thing of mine. And that's what I gotta work on. And I guess recognizing for me when to take the next step is when I can visualize success and immediately not scrutinize the ways it can fall apart. Because that's what I'm doing at the moment, if I'm honest. Whenever I think about something kind of going right, that... Oh, am I? Oh, sorry. Right. Let's give it a sec. Because apparently I'm freezing. Let's check. So I'm going to go through the comments. I'm going to put a pin in that for a second. Let's go through the comments and catch up on those. Yeah, sure. Okay, that's cool. Yeah. Oh, as far as David's comment here, I found it very difficult to end relationships, not because I'm worried to be alone, but because I hate the idea of giving up on anything. On that, we can definitely... I've definitely been guilty of not calling out a bad thing when there's a bad thing in the past, because my loyalty gets in the way sometimes. It's very, very hard for me to have that frank conversation with someone I genuinely care about. But also partly because I also don't believe that people can have that conversation. It's not a conversation that's appreciated, you know? Invariably, there's pain that's involved in having that conversation. So I can totally agree with that. Yep, David saying sometimes it's worth taking the 9 count and giving yourself time to read. It's actually a very apt boxing analogy. You know, they tell you in boxing, when you go down, go to the corner and take the 8 to 9. Take the count. Don't tell the referee you're ready to go just now. Take the count. Take the proper time to rest. But aptly, when the referee says it's now time to re-engage, you've got to be ready for that. And you've got to be prepared. And like I say, with my next steps, if I'm using me as an example, again, because I'm here and I can't use anybody else. And I'm assuming, by the way, my freezing has stopped, Charlie. I hope that's the case. We'll come to that in a second, Charlie. Where was I? The next steps. It's important to recognize, though, that and I'll tell you what can happen if you don't. Again, I'll use me as the example. After the relationship I had with one of my ex-partners, who was she was pregnant with my child at the time, that ended. It was 4 years, pretty much 3 years, 3.5 years before I felt confident enough to start weight training again. Like I fell into something that was just like, what's the point? Everything was what's the point. Everything was so depressing and fucking it's just everything seemed pointless. Everything seemed doomed to failure. I was so cynical and again, I was only 26, 27 at the time when it happened, which meant that by the time I was 29 and I pulled my head out of my ass, that was 3 years of my life I spent basically doing YouTube. But again, I did a lot of cynical stuff on YouTube at the time. Now, looking back at it, movie reviews, game reviews, I did those stupid shorts, the reactionary videos, pulling the faces and all that bollocks. And I really wish I'd have just recognized that it's okay to move on. I can be guilty of this sometimes, where I get into a funk and I stay there basically on point of principle. And like, that's kind of dickheadish when you think about it. It is kind of incumbent upon you to move on with things in life. Now, at what pace, I do leave to you, so long as you do have your eyes on the prize. In my case, I'll be honest, to David's point, I don't worry about being alone per se. I'll be honest with you. I love my own company. I gotta be really honest now. One of the most fabulous feelings in the world at the end of a long day at work is closing the door and it just being quiet. Oh, and I have no plans. Oh my gosh. And the house is tidy as well, by the way. Oh, it's beautiful. It's one of those feelings. That feeling don't last, though. Like, I've got no will or want to be Ebenezer Scrooge and coming home to an empty house for the rest of my life. But at the same time, I'm recognizing that that want in of itself is quite selfish, and it can't survive by itself. It has to be coupled with this idea to want to share life with someone. It's to share experiences with someone, to be genuinely open with someone, rather than treating them as something to get something out of. Like, I've always looked at relationships as two human beings rather than an exchange, which is, again, sadly, why I'm struggling to take this next step, because part of my cynical nature looks at dating in particular as having been reduced down to a very transactional thing, at least in the eyes of the people that I talk to. It's, well, he has this, this, and this. He is this, this, and this. And it's like, cool, can I ask you a question? How does he make you feel? Or how does she? How does she make you feel? Yes, maybe there's not convention in your relationship. Maybe it's hard. Maybe there'd be people who would make you feel differently, but is there anyone that would make you happier than this person? Because ultimately, I believe happiness is the end goal with a lot of this shit. And if they're not making you happy, they're the wrong person. In my case, definitely that was the case. In my case, in my last relationship, I was looking well past whether or not I was actually happy, and just not recognizing that I was fucking miserable a lot of the time. And just feeling like somehow I deserved it. Somehow I was at fault. Somehow I brought it on myself. And that was, again, a thing that I was wrong for doing. I was right for acknowledging where I fuck up and where, maybe I fall short with certain things. But then you got to realize, yeah, but the other person's supposed to support you when you're not doing anything heinous or illegal. I feel like we all have our faults, and sometimes it's okay to support a person even when they're in the wrong. Like, look, I understand you fucked up, you did a bad thing, or you did something you wish you could take back, but it's okay. We move on. I forgive you. Let's understand each other. Because that's what I try to do a lot. And I found that that was not being reciprocated. Now, again, coming back to the point at hand, I'm cynical now that that's everybody. I'm cynical now that there's a part of me that cannot be acknowledged and accepted by another human being when it comes to a relationship. Not necessarily with friends. I believe friends can genuinely look past your misdeeds, and they can look past your frailties and your shortcomings, because friends do that. They don't look at you as an investment. They look at you for you. They like, you are with your friends because you make each other happy to a certain degree. But then I wonder, can you extend that to a relationship? I don't know the answer to that for me. And that's what I'm trying to say, is that that's why the video is like titled, when you know how to take your next step. With me, it's when I can trust that I can do that. That I can be genuinely open and vulnerable with someone and it's okay. Rather than in the past where I feel like I've done it and I felt like a fucking mug for doing it. Like, genuinely, like, why the fuck did I do that? Not that it was a mistake to do, but it was with the wrong person. And I got to get better at filtering out the wrong people. People who look at me just for the transactional value that I offer them. In my case, it's usually when I'm in shape. That's probably why the subconscious reason that I'm so eager to get back into shape is because I know that just generally you're more desirable when you've got a six-pack and nice arms. Sorry to call out the women of the world, but y'all really do like the guys with six-packs and nice arms. I don't know why those two things in particular seem to be so intriguing to you, but I got to be honest with you, they're two of the easiest things to really get right. So if a guy's got a six-pack and nice arms, it typically means he spends a lot of time staring at his fucking face in the mirror. Look, I look good, flexing and all the rest of it. Yeah, you don't want to date guys like that. You want to date a guy with a little bit of... You want to date a guy with a bit of girth because it shows he takes care of himself, but he can take himself too seriously, and he certainly doesn't prioritize himself over, let's say, you. I apologize. Again, that's that cynicism that I was talking about. I've got to let that wear off first. I've got to try and get through it and get past it. And that's where we all have to. We all have to recognize where our shortcomings are to be able to take the next step. In my case, it's to relearn how to extend and accept trust. It's being comfortable enough in myself to being able to recognize my insecurities and work on them knowing that they're not going to impede my progress with that person. At the moment, if I'm being brutally honest with you, as I'm trying to be with myself, I'm still not there. But I do have my eyes on that step. I just don't know yet when I'm ready to take it. And that's the part that's a little bit subjective. When do you take that step? If you take it too early, you'll be right back where you started. If you take it too late, chances are the world's going to move you by and you won't actually be ready anymore. You'll be preparing for a step that then doesn't exist anymore. So it's imperative that you don't take your eyes off the ball in that sense. Not just with relationships. It could be with other aspects of life. Like, I feel like a lot of times at least, we can get comfortable with the way things are when they're not that way anymore. We start to infer things about the world that aren't real anymore. Case in point, we were having a conversation earlier, in fact, right here. Me, best friend of mine called Boswell, and my housemate, about jobs, like job security. And I was trying to educate them on the fact that AI is coming, and it's coming for all of us, baby. And the idea is you should start to think more laterally about what it is you do at a baseline level. If you work with, if your job involves people, I really would not be all that confident in my role being a thing in 5 years, because automation's coming for your job. There's YouTube videos right now that are generated, rendered, and presented completely by AI. As in, there's been no human input except for the fact that someone said, I'd like a movie review about the Fallout 4 Fallout television series, and a computer does the rest. If they can do that with something as stupid, banal, and pointless as movie reviews on YouTube, you better believe they can man a call center enough to deal with 1,500 to 2,000 calls a day with a simple algorithm. I'm sorry. It'll be the same. Again, you check out aisles, all the rest of it. So my point with that, with regards to taking your next step, is you got to start thinking about things like your career. If you've been in a job for 5 to 10 years, can you make a more lucrative role work for you? Can you take a sidestep into something that's got a lot more long-term value? Can you invest? Can you spend your time more wisely? All of these things. Even if it's just as simple as, when am I ready to take the next step from being unhappy into being happy? I know that sounds like a kind of a banal thing to say sometimes, but like, we can all be guilty of kind of wallowing in misery from time to time when something really bothers us and we're not prepared to let that misery go for some reason. It's important to recognize it's kind of a good thing to be happy in life if you can possibly help it, because there are people that can't. You know what I mean? UBI, please. UBI, Charlie? What does that mean? I'll get your answer in 90 seconds to 2 minutes, I imagine, because there's a delay running on this. But taking the next step is something to recognize and prepare for, but be prepared to take inevitably rather than just sort of holding back. I always think where I work, the sales line could be done by... Culver throwing everyone under the bus there. I like it. I don't know. Maybe. This is why I don't want to assume anything. I work in IT. I'd like to assume my hand's always going to be on the lever when it comes to my role. Not necessarily, though, because I'm first line. I'm the fucking knuckle dragger that tells people to turn their PCs on and off again. Do you really think there's not going to be an automated service that can tell people to do that in a year? Of course there will. So I've got to think about that. I've got to prepare for that. I've got to deal with that. Universal basic income. Ah, right. Yes. And by the way, you want to talk about, you want to trust, okay? Again, Parliament abolishing disability benefits for people. this week or last week, I forget when it was, a couple of million people that are going to be affected by it that genuinely don't have the capacity to work, that are now going to be government and people who in power do not give a fuck about anybody at the moment unless they stand to profit from it. That's the world we work in right now. Whenever I have this conversation with people about the word company and what the word company stems from, and the idea that companies are now businesses, and the difference that that makes in terms of how we're encouraged to think about the places that we work for, it's silly to me that I have to agonize over things like this. I get, but at the same time, I feel like because I at least agonize it, I've got half an eye on what's coming. And I really wish everyone would, because then I think a lot of this stuff would get called out at the nub. But anyways, learn to code, bros. Where you at? That's the thing. I have no idea how to code things. I should really learn. I imagine coding is something that I could learn. I just never got into it. Yep. Yeah. But this is my point, is that a lot of things in life right now, I'm not going to get overly political. I'm just going to bring it back to the human nature of things. A lot of things are transactional. And the problem with that is that morality doesn't enter into it. And I genuinely believe that being a happy person and being an inherently good person should go hand in hand. It should be rewarded to a certain degree, but it shouldn't be rewarded monetarily. It should be rewarded socially and interpersonally. But that's not largely what happens at the moment. I know it's a joke, but it's rubbed in my face almost every day because I'm a YouTube I watch YouTube a lot for inspiration and to search for guests. There's an advert. I think it's Paddy Power do a slot or a rotate. It's a gambling thing, and I've already told YouTube I don't gamble, so why is it showing me a gambling advert? But it ignores me anyway because it's YouTube, because I don't care. But it's what's her name? Abby Clancy? Is that her name? Married to Peter Crouch. And the joke for the longest time was Peter Crouch saying something to the effect of, if you weren't a footballer, what would you be? And he joked, a virgin. Now, very funny and everything, but the humour stems from the fact that, there's no way that motherfucker's finding anyone to copulate with if he wasn't a multimillionaire, let alone someone of her ilk. So the idea that we're making a joke out of that, when it's like literally, look at what happened there and we're laughing about it, that's the way of the world now. And that's genuinely sad, because then you see a lot of these interpersonal relationships or these situations where power is tested and ultimately abused because you put people in positions of power that can make you money but are bad people. What do you want? Like, I'm sorry, this is the world you built. You prioritize materialistic gain and wealth over your well-being. I get that. Look, I've got a body over there, and I've got a haircut I did myself, and Primark exclusive attire. I am not here to say I live a successful life. However, I am able to look out at that. I'm able to just sit next to water and feel happiness without wondering about how much it's costing me, and that makes me happy. I would advise everybody, if it's big or small, complex or simple, get that. Get happiness in your life. That's the next. Whenever I'm trying to take a next step, as the title of this video, it's always towards happiness, hopefully. It's another step closer towards feeling more content, more secure, and more satisfied with my existence, rather than going to bed every day grateful that we're inching ever closer to death. Like, I just feel like that's what people should be preaching and tolerating, rather than, well, I'm gonna read some of the comments because I'm starting to rant now. So let's read some of the comments. Learn to code was something Tech Bro said whenever a truck driver lost his job. Well, okay, so Charlie makes a good point. People saying something en masse is usually not a great thing, because it's usually just a very easily picked up narrative that's then permeated. You should try and form your own opinions that are informed by other people's, granted, but whenever I hear someone parroting something someone else said without real insight or inference of their own, it's worrying to me. Yeah, I agree with that one too. This is the thing, man. The loudest people are often the people we listen to, and they're often the least secure. I'm sorry, if you need to yell and have fucking people... okay. Let's look at this logically and empathetically for a second, okay? We're tribal species. We need each other's affirmation, attention, and encouragement in order to feel content. social media, the internet, the digital age has kind of lambasted that need of community. And I gotta tell you, man, like Culver's in the chat, it was a fucking gas going around to his the other day and just training for an hour. Now, I ain't seen that guy in coming up to a year and a half. And that hour meant more to me than all of the likes on Twitter, all of the views on my story, all of the views on my YouTube channel. It was fucking brilliant seeing him. David and me had a conversation the other day. Top fella. We just had a conversation. Now, granted, it was via text, but it was just nice having a bit of back and forth with a fellow I really respect. Ace. I'm heading up Sheffield on the 3rd of May. Peace Soldier is performing. I forget the name of... I think it's called In Between or something like that. I've said that I'm going to go see him live for the longest time. And I said, you know what? Fuck it. Sheffield is only 2 hours away. Let's do it. That's going to be fucking insane going and seeing him do his fucking thing, man. And I get that that's not like, oh, I want to be a billionaire and I want to have 1 million friends and fucking 10 cars and the rest of it. And I go, yeah, but sorry, man. I ain't seen anyone with that sort of stuff that's happy yet. Like, look at Jeff Bezos as a great example. That motherfucker never looks happy. Mark Zuckerberg, that is one miserable cunt. And that's someone who just can't ever see the end of his chase. Like, just... miserable bastards, and spreading their misery, by the way, by crushing everything in front of them. People and money is their expense. And that's fucked up. This is the world we live in now. And I'm saying that that's not right. But we're getting off topic. Charlie asking about religion. Shout out to Peace Soldier as well. Absolutely. I can't wait to go see him. It's been a minute and I've never met him in person. I'm told he's rather tall, but I trust he won't put me in his pocket because I imagine he's strong enough to do that too. Big fella. Wouldn't want to wrestle him, let's put it that way, although I'm coming for a belt. Pete, if I see Peace Soldier or indeed any battle rapper with a belt, I'm making you defend that belt. Biz, talking to you. I know Jem doesn't have a belt yet. I'd like to think they'll make Jem a belt for the Clash because I feel like it's only right that they both have. Although he does have a... Does he have a ring? Maybe Jem has a don't flop ring. I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Let's come to the comments because Charlie's asked about religion. Well, here's the thing. Anything that kind of asks... I'm looking like Gok... You fucking bastard, Charlie. I look like Gok Wan. I don't know whether or not to take that as a compliment or an insult, considering I don't think I look like Gok Wan. But isn't Gok Wan supposed to be like super fashionable? I don't know. Anyways, Charlie, fuck you. At her. Where was I? Religion. Let's talk about religion. Spirituality is something I've always been open to exploring. I know a lot of people still have religion as a cornerstone of their lives to a certain degree. I mean, all of us more or less celebrate Christmas, even if we don't believe in the whole Jesus thing. All of us would like to believe in a higher power or something governing or at least rewarding us or something to look after us or something along those lines. For me, religion as a concept, it was expressed actually by a religious person, albeit I don't believe he meant it this way. It was Stephen Colbert, and he said, I have this overwhelming urge to direct my gratitude for things in life toward something. And in his case, he's a Catholic, so it's God in three persons. I explored Buddhism for a little bit, not because I wanted to be Buddhist, but because I wanted to read up on the practices of Buddhism and the idea of balance being the ultimate lesson that it's trying to infer on people. I like the philosophy, and there are lots of philosophy within religions that I like because they have truths or lessons that can be applied to life. But as I know religious people, and the problem with religion is there's a lot of times where it teaches or preaches that you be blind or ignorant to things that contradict it. I'm always of the opinion you should be able to question everything. With my tiff with battle rap, some of you may have seen it, some of you may not. I had a bit of a what the kids call an explosion, where I went after pretty much everybody in the battle rap industry that I thought had a stick up their ass and needed it taken out and beaten to death with. Now, I only feel confident doing that because I don't see the problem in questioning things that I believe are inherently bad or wrong. I feel like if something can't stand up to scrutiny, it doesn't stand up. I will defend my beliefs and opinions as vocally as I can and as fairly as I can, hopefully with someone equally objective and reasonable as me. However, if I was in a situation that I felt I couldn't have a conversation with someone on a reasonable basis, I've got to be honest with you, I'd pull my oils out of the water and I'd just disengage. And with religion, I see that quite a bit. I see a lot of people that are not encouraged to speak truth to power. In fact, I think one of the tenets of Christianity, for instance, is that you submit to authority. Like one of the, I don't think it's a commandment, but it's certainly a tenet in the Bible somewhere. It's you submit to your authority above you, be that your boss or your mentor or your your religious leader or something like that. There's nothing wrong with following. I don't want to say that it's not wrong to have people who influence you. I have people that I think are very influential towards me who I know, though, are flawed people. These are people that I don't follow everything they say, but I can at least see the truth in what they're saying. Religion has the same problem that I think a lot of social media influencers who build cults of personality around them, in the sense that it's the trail. It's the, well, this is true, and this is true, and this is true, so therefore, this must be true, because these other things have been true. And I think that's incredibly dangerous. I think everyone should... Everything I've said in this show, for instance, I would welcome anyone question. Point out the inconsistencies and inaccuracies so I can at least have the opportunity to address them, retract them, or explain, or take a run at explaining them better. Like, I wouldn't feel comfortable if someone said, hey... I believe everything you say, Lorne. I'd feel a little bit uncomfortable with that. I would hope that everything I've said has been scrutinized. If no other reason than, listen to Lorne, she always says, the guy who likes Ballarat with everyone in Ballarat. David's comment, let's read it so everyone can hear it. When I tell my missus I'm listening to Lorne, she always says, oh, the guy who likes battle rap who fell out with everyone in battle rap. So here, I'm going to test my powers of reasonability here. That's not quite true. I didn't fall out with everyone. Just a lot. Let's say that, sorry. For the record, I never fell out with P, Dub T, not technically Briggsy. I brought up his name and his name was conflated with other people's. That's why I messaged him and clarified, listen, your name was brought up, but you weren't part of the problem that I was mentioning. People are going to infer that you are. Try not to take it that way. Stro, still good friends. Bizzo, Bobby Rex. Let's think. Gem. Fuck. There's a few others I can't think off the top of my head, but these are all people I'm still cool with because they game recognized gamers. They say Trubs, on the other hand, yeah, he can eat a dick. Fuck you. I hear things, and anything that don't come back to me because unfortunately people talk. Yeah, fuck you, bitch. God damn, motherfucker made a fucking name out of himself for me for a couple of days. Good for you, some nobody on YouTube, and apparently still gonna talk about me, dickhead. Anywho, where was I? David and Charlie have a habit of derailing things on these live streams, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why they like doing it. I'm here for the entertainment value. And of course, Tony D. How could I forget Tony D? Absolute lad. My uncle and yours. Love me, Tony D. Tony D is the fucking man. If Tony D ever runs for president of the United Kingdom, I'll fucking vote for him. Tony D could sweep to power tomorrow, and I don't care what he would enact as president. I would be for it because I trust that man implicitly. Granted, there's going to be an awful lot of Spurs fans knocking around as part of the new country's mantra of being Spurs fans, and I might be hunted and killed for the fact that I'm an Arsenal fan at that point. I wouldn't care. Tony D for president. You heard me here. Everyone, go now. Put for the elections, I think, are very, very soon. It's not too late. Let's all vote for Tony D. Fuck it. It's the worst that could happen. Anyways, where was I? Religion. So yeah, I believe that in fact, take the battle rap thing. Like, I had a back and forth with I had a back and forth about the battle rap thing with a bunch of people, and I am I'm emboldened. You are, but you deserve it. Both of you. I would feel disappointed, if people didn't question me when I made these claims. Like, I made every claim I made on my live stream, which I've taken down for my own reasons. I'll explain when that becomes relevant to explain. But on that stream, everything I said I can back up. Everything. I have it written and stated. And the only time where you're going to argue is when you've got a subjective take on something. And, Charlie, you fucker. Listen, my family were born in Islington. Alright? They moved to the Midlands about 30 years, 40 years ago. No, it would have been longer than that. It was in the 70s. So yeah, coming on 50 years ago. But my family hails from Islington. And I happened to be watching an FA Cup tie between Arsenal and Liverpool one day when I was about 5. And my mum said, I support Arsenal, I'll support them too. Okay? But I was 5. And I have suffered long and hard with Arsenal. Okay? So I won't be called into question for I am not a paper fan. No siree, Bob. I haven't been to a game this season or last. Or the year before. I don't think the year before that either, because that would have been COVID. But I did go with Culverhouse one year. And I went another time. I'm not lying. That wasn't God smiting me for my lies. Anyways, listen, we're getting off topic here. Let's bring this shindig to a close, because we're going for 45 minutes, 48 minutes nearly, and I think I've made my point in the first 20 minutes, which is the whole idea of moving on and taking next steps. And the point I wanted to kind of end with, I should say, is this idea of recognizing that it's okay to take the next step, to be confident when you invariably take the next step, and to kind of embrace it when it comes and try not to take it in vain, take it in earnest, take it with the full intention of taking the step after. So it's not enough to go, right, okay, cool, now I can go back to sitting in my safe spot. Like, life is best, I feel, when you don't necessarily know what's going to happen next, but you've got confidence and faith that it's going to be good and it's going to work out, and you have every intent of seeing it and making it work out. You take it in good faith. The worst times in my life have often been when I've taken next steps with an almost cynical nature, like, this is going to be rubbish. See, it was rubbish. And you go, fuck, that's not the way to go into things, man. Try something new. Try it because you want to try something new. It's the reason I don't do things now whenever I don't want to do them. Like, there's a lot of times I get invited to stuff and it's like, no, I'm good. Well, why don't you just give it a try? No, because I've tried it and I don't like it. An exercise in futility is still an exercise in futility, ladies and gentlemen. It's the reason why going to a battle rap event isn't necessarily the thing I want to do most in this world. Chief among which is, I do like battle rap events. I've been to 3 of them now. And I don't like being in a room of people. I've been in 4 or 5 people around me that I don't know. If I'm traveling, bit different. If you're commuting or, you know, doing something. But I don't even like sitting next to people I don't know in a movie theater, guys. It's got to be for a reason. The last battle rap event I went to expressly because I promised Bizzo I would see him live before the year was out. I said, dude, it's been a year since I promised you I'd be going to see you versus the Saurus. I will be there when you take on Bobby. I was there, bitches. And I have not made that promise to anybody yet this year, except for maybe Dub T. Dub T is a young man who I have high hopes for in terms of battle rap. And God, be on my side. If I make the opportunity happen for me this year, I'm going to be like, right, Dub, let me stand behind you. Let me watch you do your thing, because I've got high hopes for that young man. And obviously, Peace Soldier performing live. I'd love to see him go do his thing. Should I admit to something now? I don't know. I don't know if you're ready for this, so I'm not gonna. All I'm gonna say, I'm gonna diddle tease because I feel confident about this one. I have a guest lined up. Not yet. Probably another month or 2, maybe more. You're not gonna fucking believe that they're on the show. You're gonna be after the last 3 months, you're gonna be fucking blown away that I'm talking to this person. I can't stress this enough. You're all going to go, no fucking way. And that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Because I'd be bigging it up a bit too much if I say any more than that at this point. And also, I really want to fucking stick the landing on this one. I will say, it's not Shotty Horror. Guy still has me blocked on Twitter, so I don't think that one's happening anytime soon. Nor do I think any of you really want to see that happen anymore. He's done several interviews. See, I called it. Charlie, nope, sorry. It's not Shotty. Shotty still got me blocked. Also, it's worth pointing out, he's done interviews. So here's the thing. I don't need to interview him anymore because he's done interviews on other channels about wrestling, about battle rap. What point is there talking to me? I'll also stress the point, it's not because, yeah, don't see that one happening anytime soon either. So, listen, try not to guess who it is, because I feel like when you guess, you're going to be disappointed when you guess, because you'll be like, oh, I thought it was going to be better than that. I'm just going to stress the point. I can't quite believe it's going to happen. We'll see, maybe. I know I was pretty fucking shocked when I went, what, really? But we'll have to wait and see. Let's see if I have another mental breakdown between now and then. Who knows? I make these videos, frequently enough to make people believe I have mental health issues, rather than I just want to talk openly and candidly about the stuff that I think we all go through, including, like I say, being trepidatious about taking next steps with things. Because the other thing about taking the next step about, say, for relationships, for instance, is for me, got a very small social circle. It's not like I meet women day to day, which means that typically that means I've got to go somewhere I've never been before with the express intent of picking up a chick. Never going to happen because... Or secondly, you got to go back onto the fucking dating apps. And I can't tell you how much I hate those fucking things. I don't think I can do it. So, yeah, taking the next step isn't always just man raves next to the window. What? Charlie, you confuse me. Why? Why must you confuse me? What was I saying? Oh, and taking the next step. Part of it is recognizing how. Like, I don't know how I'm going to take the next step in terms of, well, okay, what happens when one day I'm ready for another relationship? How the fuck do I go about it? Lord knows. I have no idea. But, yeah. I do like how Charlie just threw it in there, by the way, the Shotty Horror thing. Because here's the thing. I still occasionally get messages from people saying, oh, you still sad you're not talking to Shotty Horror. And I'm like, no. But, it's you. You're the man raving next to the window. I am ranting and raving. That's true. Soul versus... Dude, Soul is... I'm always for Soul. I'll support that man to the end of the earth. One of the greatest... There was the classic thing of someone put out, who's the greatest UK battle rapper of all time, or who's the greatest, who's on the Rushmore, all the rest of it. For me, I get that it's this has become a kind of a battle rap oriented chat towards the end of this conversation. I apologize for those of you who couldn't give a toss about battle rap. When it comes to battle rap, I believe it's a couple of different criteria. It's not just who your favorite is. If you're looking at greatness, it's okay. How long have they been relevant for? How many great performances have they produced? How many big names have they faced and beaten? More pertinently, have they held a title? If so, for how long? And then after all of that, how many iconic moments has it produced? Because I feel like it's the same with professional wrestling. Like, it's not enough to have great matches or to cut a good promo. It's how many moments do you leave in the minds and in the hearts of the fans? And for me, Soul is one of those guys. Like, I get that there's knocks against him for certain aspects of his demeanor, style, presentation, moments in his career. I've talked to him about them at length, and I gotta tell you, I'm more and more impressed with every conversation I have with Soul. He is a deeply introspective and thoughtful person, and it shows in his writing as well as his performance style. So the idea that he's... and by the way, that is a great matchup. Soul versus Respect Bar. I think Last King of Scotland as well. I mean, any battle with Soul at the moment is great. It's gravy, I think. Let me just check that. Sorry. Actually, fuck it. I'll use my different internet source. Talk amongst yourselves. Let me bring this up. No, I don't want to update my fucking phone. Go away. Talk amongst yourselves. How was your day? You look great. Have you lost weight? It's at this point I hope my music is actually loud enough for y'all to hear. When is that happening then? Someone can tell me. If it's in Scotland, there's no fucking way I'm making it. I'm not driving to Scotland. Sheffield I'm driving to. Yes, you are, Charlie. Talk amongst yourselves. Come on. Help a brother out here. You're going to have to say... Because I haven't seen that one advertised. So if that is one that's booked, I need to know about it. Because I'd love to talk to Soul about that one. And I haven't spoken to him a year. So it might be time to schedule one in. Not that I'm saying I can just call and get Soul on. I'm not making that claim before anyone wants to call me a big shot. No, I'm just saying I would be... Ah, dear. Anyways, right. What the fuck were we? Oh, in terms of greatness. But so I'll throw this out to you guys. In terms of greatness, I ranked Tony D, Soul, O'Shea, Shotty, who else? Fuck. I'm forgetting someone. Fuck. Who was it? I also threw the caveat out there that they can turn up on any given night and win, which is why I managed to throw Shuffle T in there. I know that he's never held a title, and I know he's not exactly had a prolific string of battles where he won every single one convincingly. But if you look at battle rap from a purely entertainment perspective, it's impossible not to look at Shuffle T and go, fucking hell, he is good though. He is really, really, really good. Because god damn, he is so funny and witty and so keenly attuned to what the crowd that he's performing in front of wants to see. And also what they want versus what they need. He's great. But then, you've got O'Shea, who was just prolific for such a long time and so entertaining for such a long time and is still... a very there you go. So Ryan's in there with Shuffle as well. Like, I totally agree with that because again, but like Tony D, when you look at his performances, they have this ebb and flow and they build to these crescendos. The Bizzo battle is a great example of something Tony D doesn't usually do, which Tony D came out fucking swinging for that battle, and that raised it higher and higher in terms of. Bizzo was then feeling confident after the first round. Like, yeah, I've really shaken the room. I've really gotten in that guy. I've now got a catchphrase, all the rest of that stuff. Great. And then Tony D comes back with that. You can beat Larry Holmes. I'm playing Tyson. And the room goes fucking mental again. Like, Tony D is a master of the craft. In the same way that Soul is a master. Like, when he was breaking down the formulations of patterns of rhymes and the way that the beats hit at certain points... Like, I was a fucking child, mentally speaking, in terms of his capacity to be able to look at how you rap. Like, he is a fucking rapping savant. He's so good. And then, okay, I get he didn't like me, but let's talk about Shotty for a minute. Not for my own personal benefit. Let's just look at him as an artist. Okay, I don't think I've ever spoken about Shotty Horror in terms of his artistry before. The reason why Shotty Horror really struck a chord with the fans is because, number one, he felt genuine. He felt like he wasn't presenting a gimmick. He was genuinely this really visceral, aggressive, yet incredibly honed in individual. Like, when he was battling people and he would start to descend upon them, it felt like a fucking apex predator closing a kill. And the way he would weave and interspace, and the visual imagery he would intersperse, and the sort of the paradiddle of his speech, it was just so impossible not to see the musical influences of his battle rap style. And then you've got how he weaved and created his legacy as a battle rapper in terms of the battles that he would pick and choose and execute. Like, if you look back on Shotty's career, it's really difficult to look at a battle that you go, it's kind of a bit whatever. I mean, unfortunately, I would level that criticism against maybe not Soul so much, Tony a little bit. If I'm being honest, there's a couple of battles in there that I wasn't crazy about when I was going through, for research purposes. Like, you go, this guy is going to get fucking murdered, and Tony murdered him. Shuffle as well, a little bit. And plus, Shuffle's career is also, you have to balance it with the 2-on-2 stuff that he did with Marlowe, because that, as an act, they're the greatest 2-on-2 the UK's ever seen. There's not even anything that's come close. Quill and Soul, I thought, put up a good battle against them. Raptor and Bobby Rex put up a great battle against them. Matter and P Soldier put up a great battle against them. Even going back, and Cracker and C Major, that was great. Dialect and Zen was a great battle for what it was worth. But each of them, you just thought, yeah, but Shuffle T and Marlowe, man. You just got Marlowe just coming, and his facial expressions, and then suddenly you got Shuffle T with his irreverence and the sort of, oh, really? And it's just, they're just fucking comedy geniuses when it comes to the breakdown of this stuff. It's impossible not to side with them in a 2-on-2. But then you come back to Shotty, and Shotty had, and you see this in the Shuffle battle, which is the most recent one, but you see it also in the Tony D one. The Tony D exchange, where he starts breaking down the members behind Tony D. Oh, fucking hell. It's like, everybody, deep puddle, I'm in a deep trouble. I'm going to need a rebuttal. And it's just sort of this very, it's humorous, but it's cutting, because he goes in to it. I mean, the premise of it is funny, but then he cuts each of them down at the fucking knee. You know what I mean? And then he goes in like the Arsenal, but I mean, Shotty Horror is impossible to talk about without. And back to back, I've seen both Arsenal battles, and in both of them, what elevated those battles from a UK perspective, you see a lot of that in the American battle rap scene, but in the UK, you never see that. This might erupt into hands, but both of them never looked like they were going to. The caliber of words and the caliber and the complexity of the schemes and the bars and the vitriolic nature of them, you always wondered if it could erupt. But there was something about both of them that let you know that both of them were going to be professional and that they were going to hold it together. And it meant that intensity in the battle and the sort of the focus on the performance was exactly where it should be. But I'm now being accosted because I'm dodging the question, am I? Soul versus Shotty. Here's the thing. I'm probably not a great person to ask. I am not a battle rap student, nor am I a particularly good battle rap judge. I had Shuffle beating Shotty. I'm going to be honest with you. I was there. I was in the room. I have also seen that battle again on YouTube. I believe Shuffle won that battle. Shotty, I think his performance against Tally gave him a confidence going into that battle with Shuff that Shuffle was just glad to be there. And Shuffle came to fucking play, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan made it there. When that phone comes out, it's game over. He had a whole round without really directly addressing Shotty, talking about calling HR about working in Shotty Hover's graveyard. There's nothing inherently disrespectful about most of the things he said in that round, and yet you can't not give him that round. It was clever, it was funny, it was original, it was fresh, it had the fucking crowd rolling. Everybody, including Shotty. Soul is a different prospect. Soul would be, I think, Soul versus Shotty. It's a hard one. How do I say this politically? I'd want Soul to win. I'd think that Soul would come in with the superior material. Do I think that Soul's performance style meshes well with a Shotty Horror? No. I think Soul is better at someone who, if Soul can find an insecurity about Shotty and exploit that, maybe. But I think Soul's greatest wins always came when you can see the opponent crumbling in real time. Like with all due respect to Raptor. Raptor is someone I pursued for an interview for a bit. Haven't been able to get that one over the line. But part of when I was prepping to interview Soul was the Raptor battle, and you could see that performance was just, he was growing and growing in terms of his stature within the battle itself. And it sort of goes against Soul's demeanor, presenter, and stature. Like Soul he's a meek looking, he's a very slender guy, very gaunt. Dresses, his clothes always look massive on him. His movements a little bit awkward, and his speech. Obviously, he is Scottish, so he's got a cadence that doesn't naturally carry with a lot of people. But when you really listen to Soul, he's impossible not to follow as far as what he's saying. He's just so clever and so truthful in what he spits. But then you got Shotty. And Shotty can do that too. And I think the thing with Shotty is Shotty really makes you believe in what... The thing with battle rap that I find is that the best battle rappers really make you believe in what they're saying. That's why I think Bizzo has really turned the corner in the last couple of years, is because he speaks and presents himself. It's why Bobby's such a fucking treat to watch too. You believe every word of Bobby when he raps. And then there's battlers... Let's throw some people under the bus, shall we? I don't particularly dig Frost's style. I think Frost is a bit weak when it comes to his delivery, and the fact that he has to wear sunglasses indoors to feel confident enough to present himself. Let me think of someone else who I don't particularly buy. Let me think. I like Kinnell a lot as a person. I've never... do you know what? No, I don't. Kinnell, I believe he carries himself with belief. I think that just his presentation and execution leaves a little bit to the audience. The audience doesn't always quite buy what he's selling. But that's something he could potentially work. Both of them actually could probably work on that. But with Shotty in particular, it's just impossible not to be struck by how clearly he directs things. You never ever get any ambiguity with Shotty. Shotty is as direct gets, and that serves him well when he's able to articulate as quickly and as well as he does. Yep, I'd agree with that. And also with RX, man, incredibly good at learning. Like, there's other battlers who will make mistakes over and over and over. That's why I bring up Frost. Not necessarily because he's terrible, but because he's made a series of mistakes and criticisms that have been leveled against him he's not learned from. He's not developed. He's not progressed. If I was to give another example, Georgie Roots is someone that had some faults, but I think has addressed them. He has progressed. And RX is another one. He's had a few stumbles and a few little wobbles here and there, but that's a gentleman that's continued to grow and to continue to improve, and that's why he's so exciting. But if I'm answering your question, I believe Shotty would win. I would want Soul to win because I believe Soul would come in with the superior material, but I do believe that the audience would naturally gravitate towards, especially a motivated Shotty. It would depend on what's on the line, really. Like, what does the card look like? Where's it being held? Is this on Prem? Is this for another Battle League? Is this is it for something? I don't know. Where is it booked on the? Is it the? I mean, I'm assuming it'd be the headliner. I don't know. It's the thing with Shotty Horror as well is he's managed to cultivate a very, very robust reputation that I think gets him over the line in a lot of cases, even before the first word has been spoken. That's to his credit, by the way. Again, if I'm drawing the parallel with professional wrestling, that's how you build a professional wrestling star, is that you build this belief that they win before even stepping foot in the ring. Shotty Horror does that. Name me a person right now that actually really wants to battle Shotty Horror. They love the idea of it. Like, I'm going to be on a stage with Shotty Horror. And then he opens his mouth and lets loose on you. It never looks fun. I don't think I've ever wanted to be an opponent of Shotty Horror, with the exception of Shuffle T. Shuffle T is the only person who I've ever seen make that look like, when he says something like, you've grown 4 dress sizes or whatever it was. Like, it's because he was so able to take something that was a compliment, turn it into a bit of an insult without being purely vitriolic. I'll never forget, like, in that early period where people were still mentioning Shotty's uncle, and that was seen as something that was kind of over the line with Shotty, and rightly so. But what seemed to happen was that they would touch on it and then come backwards. It just made things awkward. But the battler felt like he needed to say it to show credibility that he's prepared to say the thing, but oh no, I'm not really going to say it. And then that just lent credibility to his opponent, to Shotty, because Shotty would then follow through with the, mate, you better fucking not say anything. And then they would. I mean, it's not great that people went there in the first place. Like, you would think that his opponents would have the cadence and presence of mind to go, right, that's just in bad taste. We shouldn't be fucking talking about this. Because more to the point, the audience didn't find that entertaining. That gasp was never a good gasp. It was always felt with bad taste. It's a hard one. If I have to pick one right now, on current evidence, I would say Shotty Horror would win on the day. God, that's a really... It's a hard question. It's a good question. I'll say Shotty Horror would win. I don't know if Soul would battle Shotty Horror at this point, though. It's a bit like the old Lunacy Shotty Horror debate. Like, should they battle? Will they battle? I gotta be honest with you all. I have no will or want to see Lunacy versus Shotty Horror anymore, because I just don't think it's two guys proving they're the best anymore. Or at least proving they're the best in the eyes of the fans. It would be pure fan service. And I'm not really interested in that. I'm interested to see who can be the person to come and take that mantle from Shotty Horror. To meet... For me, the next great Shotty Horror opponent is someone that can fight fire with fire. Someone that's not going to fucking twist him up jiu-jitsu style, is going to meet Shotty Horror's gaze and not blink and go, right, who's going to fucking intimidate who now? Meet him eye for eye and really fucking put the fear of God in him. I don't think there's anyone of that caliber out there right now. No one. I could say why it's going to get me in trouble, though. I'm not going to say that next part. But invariably there will be someone, and I can't wait to see who that might be. But right now, whenever you put the words versus Shotty Horror on a poster, really what we're paying to see is Shotty Horror do Shotty Horror's thing. It's like seeing Goldberg or Lesnar or Taker come back and fucking annihilate someone. You're not even really fussed about who they're annihilating. You just want to see them fucking annihilate someone. Yeah, Culver makes a good point. Luna versus Shotty is the Mayweather versus Pacquiao of battle rap for UK anyway. It's the one that at one point you could have sold thousands of tickets to see that fucking matchup. You could have streamed that shit live and made a fucking killing. Now though, you could definitely main event and promote a card on that. In fact, if Don't Flop or Premier Battles wanted to make a weekend event back to back 2 days, that's the one that you would put. And I think it speaks to the fact that whenever Luna's back soon, and Shotty's gonna have another opponent at some point too, whenever they come back, people always sell out their events, but put them together. I'm not saying you wouldn't. I just feel like it isn't the match that it was. As far as so I give you an answer and now it's, oh, well, you pick one of them, the other one's going to be mad. Let me explain something to you. Me and Soul have gone backwards and forwards on a number of topics. Okay, Soul is the most respectful person of other people's opinions, but he's also completely willing to dismiss an opinion as quickly as he hears it, because he doesn't get wrapped up in that tribalism. He really doesn't. He holds himself accountable to his own standards. I respect Soul to an insane degree because he is that kind of person that goes, listen man, you do you, be happy for you, all the rest of it. I couldn't give a toss. I like this. This is what I do and I'm great at it. I like doing it, and that's that. I respect that about Soul. Me saying Soul's going to lose is going to make zero fucking difference to that man. Soul's only banter to me so far is when we were talking about prawn. He likes prawn cocktail sandwiches from Tesco's, like when you get the meal deal. And I said, oh, come on man, Aren't those the things you get chlamydia from? And he went, if you have chlamydia and you've eaten a prawn sandwich, I wouldn't draw... if I were you, I wouldn't draw that assumption. And it was him just saying, like, yeah, if you have an STD, that's your problem. Like, immediately cut me down. That's why he's a battle rapper and I'm some fucking punk on YouTube. He's fucking clever. But to get back to Shotty Horror for a second, and in terms of the greatness, I think that's the reason why ultimately he would end up on top. Like, if you want to give respect to a Soul or a Tony D or a Shuffle or an O'Shea, you can't hear an argument from people about it. But I think in people's heart of hearts, when you see someone versus Shotty Horror, you have a natural inclination to assume Shotty's going to win based on nothing other than you don't back people against Shotty Horror. He's just so fucking... His style is too polished. He is so very acutely aware of what his strengths and weaknesses are. He is very, very good at breaking down his opponents and yet playing to a crowd. He's very thematic and performative. He's got a very extensive music career, so he uses that and incorporates that into his performing style. He's a great promoter. Like, yeah. I mean, I think he gets the wrong end of the stick with me. And unfortunately, I've paid a bit of a price for that, because now I'm blocked because I'm... What was I again? What was I? Some cunt. Some cunt? I forget. It was something cunt. I forget what the second word was. But the point is, it's a genuine shame to me that I'll never get to interview him. But what I take solace in is the fact that he's done interviews since. So basically, you've got it. He's explained Sov Pro. He's explained Premier Battles. He's done a few other bits and bobs. Fantastic. There you go. I don't think I deserve to be called a cunt in the meantime, but fuck it, whatever. But there we go. We had a bit of battle rap talk at the end of there. Where are we? 1 hour and 20 minutes. Jesus, tap dancing Christ. Right. I think we should call it there, don't you? So listen, battle rap fans of the world, rejoice. We talked about battle rap for the first time in a while. I hope it's okay, and I hope no one gets mad at me. Oh, wait. I don't care. I don't care. He said culture... Is that what I am? Okay, cool. Culture vulture. I hadn't seen that. No, I heard some cunt. That's what I heard. He said, no, there it is. The daft... I've blocked the daft cunt. That's what he called me. He said I'm a daft cunt. Maybe I'm a culture vulture. This is part of the thing with battle rap. I'll just, in fact, we'll end on this because we've not really spoken about it since, and it's been a couple of months, so why not? With battle rap, right? When it's been leveled against me that I've brought nothing to the culture, I don't think they're wrong. I don't think I've contributed anything to the culture because that wasn't really my intention. My intention was to expose people within it. When I speak to Bizzo, it's because I was genuinely interested in his path from being someone who was relatively obscure and unheralded to someone who's now the champion of his promotion. When I wanted to talk to Soul, it's because he's an immensely impressive wordsmith and someone who is incredibly talented at the art of battle and rap and as a poet. Tony D. If you look into Tony D for more than 5 minutes, you'll understand that man has had a career that is incredibly diverse and way more wholesome than it has any right to be, considering his job, as it was known to people, is to be mean to people on stage for half an hour. Guy teaches kids to read, and educates people on racism and how you fix it. This is a guy who is incredibly learned and incredibly well-rounded and an intellectual individual. He might be spiritual. I don't think we've never really touched on religion. Who else? Shuffle T. I'm just a massive fan of as a comedian. His album was very funny. His book was immensely interesting and funny, considering. And his battle rap career was a fan of for a very long time. He was basically the first battle I ever saw. Stro, Stro, I wanted to find out, again, he's got a fascinating relationship in history with battle rap, and now as a promoter and as a producer of sorts, and a stage performer still, but kind of largely, what would you call it? Staff member sounds very derivative, but someone who's trying to make the next Shotty Horror. He's a great person to talk to through that lens. They're all battle rap related, but the conversations I had weren't about battle rap
as like, okay, so let's talk about battle rap. How do we, oh man, did you see this battle? Oh, crazy. And this person, how should we promote them? It was their journeys in battle rap. And my conversations with let's have a look. Let's think. Who didn't I get to interview? Raptor. Raptor's a great example. That guy is an art. Like, when you watch some of his, like, his spoken word stuff was fucking beautiful, man. If I could ever talk to Raptor, the first thing I'd ask him about is that video he produced about mental health with Bison Briggs, and like how that came together, how he felt about making it, all the rest of it. Bobby Rex, another guy who I'd love to talk to, because that guy has had a path in life that is fucking fascinating, and I'd love to talk to him about his passion for language and his acting chops, and the idea that he's actually a very, very introspective and very intelligent individual, but he also loves a scrap. I love that dichotomy in Bobby Rex. Lunacy, I would have loved to have talked about him through the lens of someone that didn't really fall for the Luna mania that happened in the mid sort of 2010s with Luna, where people were just fucking falling off of his every word. I would have loved to have talked to him about his foray into music, how he's cultivating himself as an artist, and his relationship with battle rap now, like all of that. And Shotty Horror would have been largely the same, but also his influences of professional wrestling, his journey through the Manchester rap scene and music and stuff like that. It wouldn't be to try and book like, so Shotty, talk to me about Lunacy, talk to me about when that's going to happen, all the rest of that sort of stuff. I don't know if I ever did add to the scene. I don't know if I ever contributed to battle rap as a culture. I don't think I made battle rap better or worse. I think I was just there. I think I was just sort of around, and I felt like I was plucking people from battle rap who I really respected and liked, and I wanted to showcase. Reverse is an example of someone who, outside of battle rap, hasn't done a lot worth talking about that you would be interested in, but I was fascinated to talk to him to see what avenues come out of that. Same with Dub T. We think, who else? I'm sure I'm forgetting someone. Yeah, I mean, even like, again, I'm not a fan of Trubs anymore because, again, he made some very oddly personal comments about me, which I think, do you know what? Fuck you, fella. In my tiffs with people in battle rap, I was never personal against anyone in terms of going after them personally. I thought he was out of line, but even him, like his role as a promoter, as someone that is trying to expand the culture of battle rap and make it more palatable, and to try and cover it and give it the media coverage that other genres have, you know, I can respect that to a certain degree. But the idea being that all I ever did was take from battle rap, it's something I mulled over and I considered, because I think there's something to be said about it. When you're not contributing, are you just taking? I don't know, though. I don't know, because in my mind, the fact that I'm including battle rappers in with other artists and other genres is me trying to give it credibility. Is me to try to say, listen, if you like football journalists, if you like actors, if you like musicians, if you like MMA media members, if you like people who are in different avenues of life but have similar thought processes or have similar paths in life, then maybe you should check out these guys, and these are battle rappers. And don't roll your eyes when I say battle rap and say that's the thing that 8 Mile is. No, it's a thing. It's alive. It's breathing. It kicks ass. You should go check it out. Through that lens, I'd like to think I helped. But that really, if I'm being honest, that wasn't really my intention. So maybe I don't get any credibility or any credit for that, and that's fine by me. I am still a fan of battle rap, and I'll always be a fan of battle rap. To Charlie's comment here, I haven't heard that one either. So as far as being told I'm a culture vulture or I'm a nerd, I haven't seen those, so I'm not going to say that they're true. All I would say is, listen, I try not to attribute malice to what I contribute to ignorance. In those situations, I don't think Shotty Horror is attributing anything to me that's actually earned or warranted. I think he's misconstrued and doesn't understand the situation. That's fine. It's his right to label me, to make it easier for him to process, because I'm given to understand he's a fairly reclusive individual and a fairly private individual outside of when he does erupt on social media to promote and to cover things. I think that's wrong, though, and I think it's kind of fucked up, and that's why I spoke, because I believe that, and I'd stand by that. But as far as being a negative contribution towards battle rap, I won't take that criticism because I never spoke disparaging about battle rap as a genre. But I did call out people that did fucked up things to me within battle rap, and battle rap maybe has to think about the fact that it's got a few too many of those fuckers knocking around. That's true. But the fact is, I have a lot of respect for people like, say, Bloodstro. I have an unending amount of respect for him. Briggsy, a lot of respect for him too. Bizzo, fucking Bobby Rex is an absolute gentleman and a fucking king. There's a few others. I was probably a bit hard on Quill, thinking about it. Going back, I was a bit hard on him. I took it a little bit personally around the time of the first little incident when he kind of cut ties with me for reasons that I was a bit... But to be honest, it was kind of harsh lumping it because he didn't really do anything wrong. You know, he was just kind of like, man, I think you're going in a bit deep. I don't really want anything part of it. Do you know what? That's fair in hindsight. It's a bit of a shame because he's I considered him a mate at that point, but, whatever. It's fine. But as far as, so there's a couple of comments here. I'm the battle rap Helwani. No, Ariel Helwani was ostracized from the MMA media because MMA media is largely, you're supposed to be just a cheerleader. You're not supposed to really question power. And Ariel Helwani would do things like report things that were true. That's what journalists are supposed to do. I don't have any inside scoops to offer any of you. Didn't someone say I'll be... Sorry to... I'll come back to the Ariel Helwani comment in a second. Didn't someone say on Twitter you were a B-Tech Tom for battle rap resume? Ah! If they did, that's so funny. That's fucking hysterical. Oh my god, that is so funny. That is genuinely, that's so funny. You find me that if that tweet exists, please clip it and send it to me. That is the funniest. That is fucking hysterical. I love that. If that's true, if someone genuinely said that, I need that tweet because that's funny. That's really fucking funny. Oh man. B-Tech Tom from Battle Rap Resume. And here's the thing, Tom, Battle Rap Resume is, I have so much respect for him. I actually tried to get him on the show at one point. I was like, dude, I think I've got to talk to you because I think anyone that's categorized and covered battle rap as a genre for as long as you have, it deserves a conversation, or I would be fascinated to have a conversation, but I don't know if I ever got through to him. Not that he was or wasn't interested. I just don't think I could get a hold of him. I think I tweeted him, never replied. There's no option to DM, and I don't think I've ever found an email address for him. So I don't want to infer, again, that there was any negativity there. Maybe he did see it and just didn't want to reply. That's fine. But objectively, that's fucking hysterical. I'm a B-Tech Tom from Battle Rap Resume. That is fucking funny. That is really fucking funny. Gold star, no notes. A B-Tech Tom. Here's the thing I will say. I don't know if Tom gets as many comments about their physique as I do when it comes to battle rappers. Whenever I bump into him and I realize, fucking hell, you're a lot bigger in person, aren't you? Like, I look apparently more like a nerd on this thing than I really am in real life. Not my words. That's people like tell me, like, oh, you big lad, aren't you? Like, yeah, please don't say that, because that makes people think I want to try it on for size, and I don't. Trust me, I never want smoke. I don't want smoke. Smoke is not for me. I don't smoke. Never smoked a cigarette. But back to this. I never broke anything with battle rap. I was never given any exclusives. Anything I was told in confidence has stayed in confidence. Because I've got I'm not really here for battle rap news. I'm here more of as a retrospective. You know, I interview people. It's not about tell me what's happening. Unless you want to promote it, in which case go nuts. And I don't think I've ever needed to cheerlead battle rap. I've always been honest. And I don't think anyone really had a problem until you mentioned people by name. And I'm sorry, I'm only mentioning people by name because they said or did things I personally observed that I would assume anyone with a reasonable understanding of how the world works that think is fucked up. So I don't think that's a fair comment. Ariel Helwani has done infinitely more good for MMA media and MMA as a genre than I have done I've done nothing for battle rap. Let's be honest. I've done nothing. I've interviewed a few of the battlers. Some people like those interviews, but then again, a lot of people like the stuff that they do with Trubs or with Shannon or on their own channels and platforms, or with or on Battle Rap Resume. You know, people would be perfectly happy with just those, and I respect that. That's why my interview series has pivoted, and I've interviewed other people. I haven't missed a beat. They haven't missed a beat. It kind of has just gone on from there. It won't preclude me from talking to other battlers in time when they're ready to talk to me. If they're ready to talk to me, I'm not really. Okay, I'd be happy to answer this. So, genuine last question on battle rap, and this is how we'll wrap this up because I feel like this is channel related, so this is where we can dismount. Who's the next very likely battle rap guest? Okay, that's a good question. And I'll think about it by, first of all, checking something that I made a note of. Hang on, callers. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. Right. Oh, for God's sake. Right. Thank you. Let's go here. Right. So. Well, Bobby Rex is one that I've been kicking the can down the road with for a very long time. He's always said he'll do it, but he's always got other things that I would advise him to kind of prioritize things. Again, he suffered a bereavement recently, and God bless him. You know, I don't want to harass him in this time. You know, I'm desperate to have him on. I've been asking him on for a while, but it's that thing where I sort of leave it. My rule of thumb when I'm pursuing an interview is I do chase. I do kind of prompt people, but I do it sort of once a month, once every 2 months. Sometimes even I go as far as once a year. Like with Shotty Horror, I'll give you an example. I didn't feel like this was a bad thing. I used to chase him once every sort of 3 to 6 months. And that's it. Like, I don't think that was particularly fervent. It's been largely the same with Bobby, but I'm pretty confident Bobby will come over the line at some point because Bobby, whenever we've talked about talking, has been super excited, super really up for it. O'Shea said he'd do it. Then O'Shea had some health problems, God bless him, so that we had to shelve that one. He was literally on at one point the following week, but then he went into hospital and he said, look, can we reschedule? I said, look, dude, you focus on your fucking health, my friend, your health and your family, and you just let me know whenever you're cool. I'll chase him when I feel that's ready, because I want to make sure he's cool. RX Southside said he'd come on at one point. Who else? Let me think. Who else? There's some others I'm probably forgetting. Reva said he'd come back on at another point. But he was in the middle of moving house and changing careers and doing a bunch of other stuff, so that was the thing. Dub T will probably be on at some point because we talk every other week when it comes to wrestling. Tony D, I've asked if I'll message Tony D at some point and see if he fancies coming back on again because I love it. I love a chat with old Tony D. He's a favorite of mine. I'll check in on Bizzo and I'll also check in on Soul, as a matter of fact. Again, I'd love to have another conversation with Soul. It'd be fascinating to have another conversation with him. Stretching outwards, though. Kick Nelly. We did have a conversation. We did record it. However, due to a combination of my explosion and, of course, the quality wasn't great in the interview. We actually had to change feeds 2 or 3 times. So it's a bit... I don't know whether or not it's wise to release that interview in terms of quality. I'll probably put something together and I'll float it by him, and then we'll see. Okay. I don't know if I want to interview anymore. 2 reasons for that. Number 1, if my little 2-hour stream caused all of the fuss that it did, how bad do you think a conversation with is going to be where invariably I'm going to have to put things to him like some of the critiques that I've leveled against him in the past on this show? Do you think that's going to go down well, or it's going to be taken in the spirit with which it's intended? I don't think so. I don't think has any interest in being on my show either. I think at the moment, dudes and dudettes, hopefully, if you look at it from the person who I'm interviewing's perspective, what's the purpose? What's the benefit? What battle rapper is going to look at my platform as being advantageous to come and... not very many of them want to be asked tough questions from someone that has proven now that they'll say what everyone's fucking thinking. I don't think many battle rappers want to go on that show. The people that want to come on my show right now are the ones that are actually looking for an honest conversation. Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell were two guys who came on the show, if no other reason than despite the fact that their profiles exceed mine thousands of times over, they're not used to talking to people that ask them honest questions. Kruger's one I would love. I would love to talk to. Kruger and Bagnall are two guys, and Bamalam actually, now that I think about it. They're three fellas who I would love to have on. I just don't know how I would angle it. I don't know how I would pitch it to them yet. In terms of pitching it to them so that I think that they would be interested. That's part of the problem when you're trying to get an interview, is that you got to pitch it to them so you don't do the thing that most interviewers do, which is, oh, I'd love to talk to you because I want to hang out with you for an hour. Like, with all due respect to someone like a Shotty Horror, for instance, I want to talk to him about his career. I don't necessarily want to just shoot the shit about stuff we both like. I feel like that comes after, if you find during the interview you get on. Peace Soldier's a great example of that for me, where I interviewed him. We had a great interview. Turns out we're fucking mates. Turns out he's a fucking guy, and I fucking love that guy. Same with Dub T, same with Biz, same with Bobby, Tony D. These are all guys that I could have a beer with and be like, do you know what? Fuck it. Let's get another beer in. Let's have another one, shall we? But first and foremost is I want to talk to them about something. With Kruger is someone who I'd want to fixate on those these productions he puts out, these ideas that he has that are just like, I'm going to rap while drawing. I'm going to be rapping about what I'm drawing while I'm drawing it. The Spotify song that he put together, the Seymour Skinner thing. There was another one, I forget what it was. He's such a clever bastard, such a clever motherfucker when it comes to the creative side of things. I'd love to sort of angle the interview on that. But again, it's enticing someone like that to talk to you. Marlo was a great challenge in that respect, because Marlo thought I was just going to fanboy out about battle rap for 2 hours. And it was like, no. I love your directing work. I love what a creative person you are. I want to talk to you about that stuff when you've got the time. And when we finally nailed it down, we had a fucking fantastic conversation. I feel like he was so great about talking about his movie and his creative outlets and his inspirations. That was it, the Popeye rap. Yep, there it is. Kruger, I would love to talk about that sort of stuff. Bagnall, I'd love to talk about his perspective as a cameraman, as a producer, as an editor, as someone that's been around during those pivotal moments and has formed sort of this reputation as being a pillar of the industry throughout several of its most key moments. Bamalam as well. The fact that he was an interviewer and he's interviewed some of the most prominent names in the world. We've got that in common. I'd love to sit there and talk to him about that and get him to reminisce about some of those things, and also in his career moving forward. In other words, there are still people within battle rap who I think have a lot to offer an interview series like mine. At the moment, though, I do understand that there is a lot of battle rap who don't necessarily want tough questions, who don't want to have honest conversations. That's fine too. There's no gun to their head saying they have to. So as far as your comment there about Get is not someone who I believe is open and willing to have an honest conversation about the kinds of things I'd want to talk to him about, because it would involve being honest about my perception of some of the things that he said and done and his attitude towards his own fan base, which I think can be really troublesome at times. Take mine example. Motherfucker didn't miss a beat about using it to promote his fucking show. The piddly nobody from YouTube, well, maybe, but we can use him to sell a few tickets. Hashtag entitled. Like, come on, man. Either I'm nothing and a nobody, or I do have some sway. I'd rather it not be this, I promise you. I don't want to have influence over anything. I just want to be able to say what I want to say and talk to who I want to talk to. And yeah, on a personal note, I don't think I'm really up for having that conversation. I'll be honest with you. Maybe with time, maybe I'd revisit that. I don't know. Again, with Quill, for instance, I've revisited my notion about him, and I'm a little bit more bent towards maybe I was too harsh on him. But I don't know if an apology would suffice to him at the moment. So I haven't reached out to Quill since, because I think it would be a waste of time. I think he'd be just nothing it. That's fine. Again, he's not sweating not being on my show. I took... People that might be a little bit more keen have noticed that I took down all of the videos involving Quill and involving Trubs. Not because I was being necessarily vitriolic, but because, frankly, I suspect that they wouldn't want to be associated with me anymore. So taking them down seemed like the respectful thing to do. I know maybe that sounds backwards to people. I don't know. It felt like, though, after they were both personally and publicly critical towards me for reasons that I thought were bang out of order, felt right to say, okay, well, I doubt very much you want me promoting your interview with me anymore. So, yeah. And through that prism, I can see the comparisons with Ariel Helwani, because I feel like Ariel feels with regards to when people ask, are you ever going to interview Dana White? I think if you offered me the opportunity to interview someone like or Shotty, not that they would. Again, there's people saying, oh, look, it's still going on. He wants to interview him so bad. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I'd want to do it anymore. I understand what the opportunity would be. I'm not ignorant of the fact that it would be massive for me personally and for the channel. I wonder if I'd be that person to do it anymore. I don't know if you're the right person to interview people when you've got a bad history with them. When there's history with your subject, I feel like it colours the interview badly, because then the audience is kind of trying to infer something rather than just listening to the conversation. That's why I love first-time conversations with people, because you never quite know how they're going to go. With an I've been critical of him, both publicly on Twitter and indeed on this show with a couple of guests in the past. With Shotty Horror now, you're all aware of what happened. So I don't know if those conversations could really go in a positive way. I think without at least addressing it, at which point I become the focal point of the conversation. That's not the point. If you're interviewing people, if your guest is supposed to be the focal point, not you. And every guest I've had on since, I've had Blooms, I've had let me think, who else have I had on? Cronenborg, obviously that was an interview that happened last year, but I uploaded it this year. And then obviously Jesse Maria. Every one of those conversations, I try and put the onus back on them. It's their show. I'm just facilitating it. When I interview someone who I've had history with, I don't know how you're not supposed to address it, because then you are ducking. I feel like if I was to have Shotty Horror and on, and it's just, hey, great, so we're going to talk about this, this, and this. How do you feel about this? Da 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 da. Great. Well, thanks. I mean, is there anything anyone? It just looks like a pussy ass move, doesn't it? I feel like you've got to address it. I've got like, right, so let's talk about what happened first and foremost. Let's get it out of the way and let's air it. Let's hear what you have to say and let's hear what I have to say, and let's... But do you really want to see that? I don't think you want to see that. Just like I don't want to see it. I don't think they want to hear it. I don't think they want to be a part of it. So, I mean... I don't think wants to sit for me. I don't think Shotty Horror wants to sit for me. I don't think any of you want to see that anymore either. I think you guys are just as sick and tired of it as I am, and presumably they are at this point. The people who I'd want to talk to most in battle rap are the people that I really think would provide the best conversations at this point. I think Bobby Rex would be fucking fascinating. Raptor would be a great interview. I feel like revisiting Soul and Tony, because they've always got so many different things that they want to talk about, and they can take the conversation a million different directions. RX Southside, because he's someone I've never spoken to before and has this massive future ahead of him. And there's others I'm forgetting. I'd rather focus on those conversations now, because I think, despite the fact that I understand that they inherently have less interest to a widespread audience and to battle rap as a whole, and to people that I've never met, never will meet, you know, they'll watch my video for them, not for me in that situation. I also don't believe that it has anything to offer anybody, really. I don't think I can offer an interview with Shotty Horror that you can't get anywhere else anymore, because he's gone ahead and gone on other shows and spoken about Sov Pro and his passions and blah blah blah. You've got that. Go watch that interview. I don't know where it is, but I think it's a wrestling show, wrestling podcast, Joe something. I don't know, I can't remember, but I've seen it promoted recently. I was like, great, fucking right, retweet. Couldn't be happier for him. Absolutely magnificent stuff. And I'm sure Urs got his own podcast. I think Don't Flop does a weekly or a bi-weekly podcast. I'm sure that's fabulous watching and viewing. You should go watch that. You should tune into me because you're hopefully going to be exposed to someone that you've never heard of or that you don't know about, and you're going to learn a thing or two. You shouldn't be tuning into me for drama. And if you tune into these, it's because you like hanging out with me and you want to hopefully pick up a nugget of how not to fuck up things like I've fucked things up. So that would be my pitch to you. Anywho, we've been going for nearly 2 fucking hours, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me on this edition of the Halcyon Show. When the next interview is live and ready to render, I will let you know via the old socials. So as you can see here, now that I've redone this whole section at the bottom, now that it doesn't look like my socials are down here. Feel free to go follow me on Instagram and Twitter. There's nothing on this side. I just added a like and a share and a subscribe because that's what people are supposed to do. And I made it so that it's not flickering, but it is neon. That's kind of cool, right? So please like, share, and subscribe. Please stay tuned for the next interview, whenever that may be. If you're up in Sheffield way and you've got tickets to CP Soldier, I'll see you there. I'm going to be there. I'm looking forward to it, so I'll see you then. But otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, it's been my pleasure. Thank you very much for joining me on this edition. I hope you are keeping as well as you possibly can be. Let's go through, actually. Roll call before I go. So David, Charlie, Ryan. Let's go. Charlie, you redacted a bunch of messages, you coward. And then Ra-K. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining me. I do hope you're taking care of yourselves, and I will see you on the next episode of The Halcyon Show.